start. And I think there's a long list that they've been talking about with the Europeans that has circulated around that the Iranians turned their back on in Geneva. They may turn their back the other way. Go back to the table, considering what they just saw last night. But we'll see. The question really is the Iranian leadership and when we hear from them. So far, it's been a lot of bluster online, a lot of social media saying, the response is yet to come. It is going to be devastating for Israel and the U.S. Clearly, we'll see. And we mentioned the tentacles of terrorist cells that we really have to be careful of.
Yeah. Brett, I was really also struck by Pete Hegseth, in particular, Secretary Hegseth, talking about the desire for peace, the desire to make sure that this does not go beyond these strikes, that Donald Trump, the president, wants them at the negotiating table to end this. That was very encouraging to somebody like me who's very concerned about this expanding into regime change. That felt good. On the other hand, there's a lot of tripwires here. We've got the bases that are there that are somewhat vulnerable, despite the threats from the U.S. government saying, don't touch our men. We also have the Houthis who have now torn up their ceasefire agreement. So there could be something that happens to our ships in the Red Sea. And then, of course, what I'm most concerned about is the fact that we've had 4 years of Joe Biden's open border and these sleeper cells. So talk to me about how President Trump, Homeland Security, Pete Hegseth, everybody involved is working to mitigate those very real threats on the homeland included, to make sure this doesn't expand into a greater war. Because as you know, Brett, there's a lot of political implications here. By the way, not hearing much about the big, beautiful bill that was the #1 issue until Israel striked, but also the fact that, this is not a left-right issue. There are a lot of people in the MAGA base who voted for Donald Trump because they wanted peace and really hope that this leads to peace. So I know I'm throwing a lot out there, but talk to me about the politics around this, considering all of those things.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the threat of the terrorist reach of the Iranian regime, which has been doing it for decades through proxies, doing some very bad things. The president came to the conclusion that those tentacles, those terrorist reach elements with a nuclear weapon or some nuclear, even a dirty bomb, is exponentially more of a threat to the U.S. and to our allies, and decided it was time to act. If you're worried about, the retaliation, imagine the retaliation with Iran with a nuclear bomb. Let's just put that aside. Yeah. There is a higher state of alert. The FBI, the Homeland Security, individual cities have been on higher states of alert since this all happened over the past week or so, but now they'll be even more so. And the amount of strength, military strength we have in the region suggests they're going to do a lot to try to protect those bases directly beyond what is normally done. As for the politics of this, you're right.